When you think about the word demand, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For me, when I was thinking about this word and how we commonly use it, it kind of evoked a sense of pressure, of exertion, of saying, I want this, of very forceful language. That's a demand. But demand can also be used in many other ways, too. For instance, in economics, we use the word demand more to indicate a person's capability to purchase something and their earnestness in going about purchasing it. I wanted to first say that demand is desire, but the reality is that desire is a part of demand, but it isn't everything. I may desire to purchase a new automobile, and in purchasing that automobile, boy, I just love this car. I desire this car. But if I don't have the money for this car, is that really creating demand? No, that's just me wanting that vehicle. So in order to have demand, I need to have desire. I need to want to purchase this product, but I also need to be able to purchase this product. Well, there's actually a third thing that's involved in it too, which is a willingness to spend my ability on purchasing this product that I desire. So I could actually desire something, have the ability to purchase it, but still not be willing to actually follow through. And so all three things are necessary in order to create demand. What we're going to be looking at is demand at the microeconomic level. And by microeconomics, I mean we're looking at smaller units. We're looking at individuals. We're looking at individual businesses, individual people. And we're looking at their behaviors and decision making to see why do they make the decisions that they do? What is it that causes a person to step in and buy a product? When does their desire, their ability, their willingness begin to actually trigger action to cause them to purchase this product? That's what leads to demand. Now, to do this, we're actually going to use some economic models. I mentioned earlier that we use these in economics. We use models as a means by which to indicate the possibility of what might happen in the future. So one economic model that we could use is a demand schedule. And this is going to show the various quantities that would be demanded of a particular product at different price points. So if we raise the price, how much is the demand? If we lower the price, how much is the demand? Let's take a look at what a chart, a demand schedule chart might look like. And this is a very simple chart, but let's say that there was a t-shirt manufacturer. Okay, so I want to make t-shirts, and I put together this great t-shirt. I put a really cool logo on this t-shirt, and I want to know how much can I make with these? When is the demand actually going to increase? And so a demand schedule would show that at a $50 price point, people would not be interested in purchasing my t-shirt. Okay, it's a little bit too high of price. People look at it and go, you know what? I'm not going to purchase that shirt. But when we lower the price point to $30, then we start seeing people consider the t-shirt, and they would actually purchase one t-shirt for that price. If we lower the price to $15, then people, when they're considering this purchase, would actually consider purchasing 3 t-shirts if the price point was at $15. If I lowered it to 10, notice what happens. People would be willing to purchase 6 of these t-shirts. So now I need to look at my demand schedule and make a decision. Where is the point where my costs are going to keep up with the amount of t-shirts that are being purchased based upon demand? We could look at a demand curve as well. So we could create an XY axis and indicate and show what happens. What does this demand curve show us? It shows that my demand is actually lowest when my price is the highest. And as my price gets lower, my demand begins to increase. So that's actually a pattern that we see with demand. It's called the law of demand. And so basically the law of demand says the quantity which is demanded is going to vary inversely with the price. Remember what we saw on our chart. When the price went up, the demand went down. And inversely, when the price goes down, the demand will go up. Now, we see this in study after study. And the reason why we refer to this as a law of demand is that price can be discouraging to a person that's purchasing something. Price can cause a person to not purchase as much. And we see this over and over again. And when the price is low, people tend to purchase more. That's the law of demand. Now, the individual law of demand, how an individual would respond to this, is all well and good. But if I'm going into business, what I actually care about are all of the potential buyers for my t-shirts. And to do this, we actually need to create a market demand curve. A market demand curve is just kind of a more robust version of the economic model that we have previously looked at. In a market demand curve, again, I could be selling the exact same t-shirt. Now I'm going to be going out and looking at all of my potential customers. How much would they purchase at different price points? So to keep this simple, I have two customers, Bob and Sue. And we can see on this chart at the $50 price point, both Bob and Sue have no interest in purchasing my t-shirt. That means the market demand at the $50 price point is still zero. At the $30 price point, Bob, who is an adventurous buyer, evidently, is interested in purchasing 3 t-shirts from me at the $30 price point. Sue, a little bit more cautious, maybe a little bit more savvy to recognize this may not be the greatest t-shirt, says, okay, at 30, I'd buy 1. What does that mean for my market demand? It means the market demand at the $30 price point, I'm actually going to add Bob and Sue's demand together. That gives me my market demand of 4 t-shirts at $30 price point. At the $15 price point, Bob continues to buy more t-shirts. I don't know why he needs this many t-shirts, but he's buying 5. Sue's buying 2. That means the market demand is 7. At 10, Bob's buying 6 t-shirts. Sue has jumped up to 3 t-shirts now, and the market demand is at 9 t-shirts if my price is at the $10 price point. So I can then put this into a chart. We can show the individual totals here. The yellow line is indicating Bob's numbers. The green line is indicating Sue's numbers. And then this final red line actually indicates my market demand curve. It tells me what the market could handle at different price points. Now, it would be very important to gather a large customer base and to find out their interests at a very realistic level so that my market demand curve can actually reflect what's possible. That's going to give me the best possible data. Now, we looked at 2 different customers on my market demand curve, and they had differing interests in how many t-shirts they were going to purchase. And we actually refer to this as marginal utility. Marginal utility is the extra satisfaction that a person gets from acquiring or using one more unit of a product. So if I'm purchasing 1 t-shirt, the marginal unity would be looking to see what is the extra satisfaction that I get if I purchase another t-shirt that is exactly the same. That's the marginal utility. That's the measure of marginal utility. And that's also a very important component of demand. How much is this person actually benefiting, seeing benefit from purchasing more than they would have if the price had been higher? Now, diminishing marginal utility is actually the point of when you're looking at marginal utility, typically you will see that as greater quantities are purchased, the satisfaction will begin to diminish. So Bob, who ends up purchasing 6 t-shirts at $10 a piece, he will actually see a diminishing marginal utility with that 5th and 6th t-shirt as compared to the first t-shirt that he bought. So as he begins to purchase more and more, the value of the extra t-shirts is going to diminish. He will not be willing to pay as much for his later t-shirts as he would have for the first t-shirt, because he's seeing a diminishing marginal utility. That's the case for all of us. The first time we buy something, it means something more to us than it would the second, third, and fourth time if we were purchasing it at the same time. We expect that those later purchases have less value to us. Therefore, we're not as interested in spending as much money on those in the future.